Hi Sam, when your character built the prison, was he still friends with Dream? Also, does he or when did he start disliking Dream? Yes, I would say while building it, my character was friends with Dream, especially since I think canonically it's been said, I feel like it is canon that Dream helped me build part of the prison, like in terms of placing the blocks and that kind of thing, and quite literally in real life, several people did help me place lots of blocks and mine lots of blocks. Which was really nice when I was doing that. But I think canonically it was said that Dream did help me build the prison. So yeah, I would say we were still friends. However, I do think that there came a time where my character stopped liking Dream because of what Dream was doing. And I think that will be explored more in the future as well, and I don't want to spoil anything, so we're done. Hey Sam, how far is Warden Sam willing to go to execute his version of justice or to get his way? I don't think that Warden Sam is like necessarily sees what he's doing as him being a bad guy, although I know a lot of people, and I knew going into the line I wanted to take my character, a lot of people really dislike Warden Sam right now because of actions that he's done, and I would say it is deserved dislike to some extent, but I also think that it's important to realize that the Warden kind of has to choose between Sam, like the character is kind of forced to choose between doing what he thinks is right and doing what he thinks will keep the server safe. And I think ultimately the main goal of Sam as the Warden is to keep Dream locked in prison so that he can't escape. And I think that that's like an important aspect of the character itself, is just that he doesn't want Dream to escape, and so he'll go through maybe even things that are evil to try and secure that goal. The character will. Why did Dream tell your character about exile? Also, how much did your character involve other people in building the prison? I would say canonically it would probably just be me and Dream building the prison, as we wanted everything to be a secret. I would say Dream would tell Sam while he was in the cell, would be the times that Sam would start to learn about what happened in exile. Because you have to remember, my character spends a lot of time alone with Dream in terms of the characters spending time with Dream, but vice versa, the only person that Dream sees 99% of the time is Sam. And so Dream would become more and more willing to speak to Sam about different things that he probably wouldn't have before, as time goes by. Hi Sam, I remember laughing at your tweet saying you jumped out of your chair when Dream yelled for you in Quackity's lore stream. Do you remember any other moments in roleplay where you were shocked or scared IRL by the lore? Have a good day. That was probably one of the first ones where I like legitimately jumped. I'm sitting there waiting for, you know, it all to start. And at that point I had left the scene, right? So in my head, you know, I was just thinking like, wow, that went really well. That went good. I think we did what we wanted to do. Like, I think that went well. And you know, I'm really kind of starting to zone, like I'm zoning slowly out of what's happening because I'm no longer like directly involved. And then like, boom, Dream like yells my name really loud, and I was like, oh my god, you know, like I like jumped a bit, you know. That is probably the only time that I remember really being like startled by somebody doing that. Does your character emphasize the Dream? Does he feel bad that he's being cut off from his friends in our society? No, I don't think so. I think my character is very, very strongly against Dream and what he does now. I think that's part of my character now. Hi Sam, in an extreme situation, do you think your character would prioritize the prison and keeping Dream in prison, or the safety of the server kids? Keeping Dream in prison for sure. Hi Sam, sorry if someone's asked this already, but a lot of people see some heavy implications of Warden Sam torturing or physically harming Dream. Are you able to confirm, deny, elaborate? What do I want to say about that? I don't think Warden Sam is particularly going in to try and torture Dream. That being said, he is allowing Quackity to do so, there you go. In the teaser clip, Dream stated that he mentioned a security issue, something Sam had echoed in his justification for his current actions. Would you say Dream had any influence on your character's viewpoint on the prison? Definitely, and I think that in his teaser, that's in what's coming out from his teaser, you're gonna really enjoy that. What would Sam do if he was faced with the choice between saving Friend and keeping Dream within Pandora's vault? Sorry if this has been asked already. No, it hasn't been, and I think that would be a hard one for Sam. But I do think that Sam would keep Dream in prison, even though it wouldn't be his favorite decision.
I just want to know when the last time Canon Sam has fed Canon Dream. Please feed the man, please. Probably not that long ago. Probably not that long ago. Every day he gets fed, of course, and naturally. I don't know, chat. The story's gotten real complicated, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, one thing leads to another. Chopped off some guy's hand, killed a kid. You know, just stuff. You know, you just chop off somebody's hand one time, and then now you're the bad guy, you know? You know what I mean, chat? One time, you just chop off somebody's hand, and now you're the bad guy, you know? Make it make sense, really. Make it make sense, really, you know? You know, one guy's hand gets chopped off, and everyone's all up in arms, you know? It just doesn't seem right, does it? It doesn't. There, I said it. Everyone's up in arms, if you will. That was a good one. There's one person who's probably not up in arms. He's probably more like up in arm. But you know, it's the thought. What do you guys mean, Sam? No, this is a perfectly reasonable, normal way to feel. Everybody was up in arms about it. And you know, that is their right to be up in arms about it. Well, not everybody, but some people were up in arms about it. Which is, of course, you know, that's their right to be up in arms about it. But, you know, I feel like they didn't really appreciate the bigger picture. You know?
Someone also said you kidnapped a kid, so there's that.
Well, I mean, if we want to get technical about it, if we want to get really technical about it, I guess I did do that. But I didn't hurt the kid yet, or at all, nor am I planning on it. So that's, you know, that's got to stand for something, you know, whatever that is. Even if it's just a little, it's got to stand for something. That's got to stand for something, chat. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a, oh, so glad you didn't hurt the kid. That's a, oh, you know what, that is good. He didn't hurt the kid, you know? He didn't hurt the kid. Just did a little kidnapping is all. But honestly, though, what crimes has my Dream SMP character done? I would say none. I'm literally the law. You know, I'm just throwing that out there. I literally am the law. Therefore, I'm just gonna say I haven't committed any crimes. That's genius, right? Can't get in trouble if you haven't broken any rules. Michael, no! Michael wasn't a crime. It was all for the good of the server. See, you guys just don't understand. You just don't understand where I'm coming from, is all. It's just a misunderstanding. Exactly, chat. I've done nothing wrong, and I'll stand by that. Wait, do you like making life hard for character Sam apologists when you do these things? I stand by the fact I don't need apologists. Stand by that. I stand by that for sure. Inubu, thank you for the vibe. I did it for the good of the server. That's what character Dream said, thinking emoji. Interesting, you say that. Interesting. Yeah, Sam, you're so right. Character Sam, my meow meow, has never done anything wrong. Thank you, Jay. Thank you. Finally, someone who gets it. Someone. SSK with the one. Do you know your character has committed the most war crimes on the server out of everyone? Just a fun fact. That's not true. That's not true. I disagree. It's just not true. Being the one, the crimes of Sam, quote, the warden. 1, abuse of power. 2, kidnapping. 3, violation of the GM conventions, to name a few. No, none of that's true. None of that's true. He hasn't done any of that. He hasn't done any of that, and I'll stand by that. Just a little jinx, the one. I mean to play devil's advocate. Is the GV convention even canon in Minecraft? Can't break the laws that aren't canon. True. Wait, SSK just did one. I found the spreadsheet. Your character has committed a total 36 war crimes. 27 were done to character Dream. That's kind of impressive. See, now you're mad at my character for being mean to Dream. Interesting take. Interesting take. Someone must not have watched my lore video or Grimm's animatic, where the Dream discussion between Dream and I went down. Interesting. Interesting take, if you will. For those war crimes you're saying were committed in the prison. Interesting. Interesting. It's also not a war crime if it's committed during war. My character has been through several. Him, already thinking of 333. I love your character with his perfections and flaws. May he do good or bad. It's what makes him so interesting. True connoisseur of good entertainment there. I try. Okay, I don't usually talk about this on stream because I want you guys to be able to have your own opinions about my character, because I think that's the beauty of the writing, is that there's lots of people who can have different opinions. I think that that's kind of like what I like about my character, is that there's a group of people who genuinely they like despise my character, which I'm okay with. I get that. You know, I get that they hate things that my character's done and they don't like my character. But what's interesting is like there's another group of people that they like my character exactly because of like those reasons. Like they like my character because of that like complexity, right? It's just so fun. Like I enjoy writing my character in a way where he can be liked and disliked. You know what I mean? It makes the character like more interesting. Like I think it just makes the character's story more interesting as well, as opposed to like, oh, I am the good guy, please always root for me. But like as opposed to like my character, who I like to think I've made super complex. You know. Dream says, "Oh Sam, I will let you leave, but you have to die first." And then he goes, "Bye Sam," kills Sam, and then he lets Sam out of prison. Character Sam, this is me. Then he let me out of prison after the stream ended, and it was like an off-stream prison exit thing because we might have some lore that comes in with what happened after later. But as of right now, as far as you guys know, he just let me out after he killed me because he said he was going to. So there you go. And there might be more details filled in there. There you go. 07?
That's where I snagged the torch. It was really
can't
important to
see
me that
them
we like
hide.
actually got that in the
No.
scene because
No,
I
you're
wanted.
wrong.
I think that's a key part of like how
I
my
was
character
keeping
like
friends
functions,
safe.
where he would
Oh,
like plan that
really?
out. You know what I mean? I think there's like my character is kind of like an onion, where like some people know a lot about my character and some people don't. But I think if you pull like down into like a really deep part of my character, a lot of people would see that. You know, back before when I started building the bank. My character would have really cared about like trying to build the bank for the betterment of like the rest of the world. But nowadays my character is like becoming more and more like isolated and like alone. So like he doesn't think about that as much. And like wouldn't care about it as much. So like, and in the moment when Fran is like in danger, he would 1,000,000,000% like sacrifice the bank like that he doesn't really care about anymore to save Fran, I think. So that was my like angle on like why I was happy for the bank to get blown up. I mean, obviously, I have been lacking on finishing the bank. I mean, I think it's a natural thing for like, I think it's what my character would have done. You know what I mean? Like, usually whenever I try and think or like plan out like my lore for my character, I kind of try to like literally imagine that like I am like my character, right? And like what I would do like with all the information that I have at the moment, like what you would be willing to do and that kind of thing. So there you go. That's why I was down with the bank to be blown up.
Chubby Dublin said we had the 5. Sam, semi-lore question. If character Jimmy and character Ponk were in a life-threatening situation, character Sam had to save one of them, which do you think he'd save? I think, like, my gut instinct says that I want to say Ponk, but I think the answer might actually be Dream.